Today, we are going to state the obvious. And yet, despite the eyeball-burningly radiant self-evidenceness of it, it is apparently something that needs to be restated quite frequently, with some degree of pathos, as it has not, in fact, been obvious for the last 10 to 20 odd years. Stellar Blade developer, also known for butt-jiggling game Nikke, which we'll have a look at in a moment, says he put special attention into the female lead's back, you could say ass, and in fact I think it's even legal on YouTube these days, because that's what players see most of the time. Yes, congratulations. You have puzzled out a thing that every player of World of Warcraft has known, and yet also something that has simply just disappeared from modern-day game developers' memory. It is astounding to me that something so thoroughly basic is actually rather revolutionary in the year 2024. And it comes as little surprise that it comes from this particular developer, as Nikke, which is a game primarily focused on the characters' asses bouncing, well, it is an enormous bestseller. Because, weirdly enough, men like watching jiggly butts. How many more astounding revelations will we have today, I wonder? Now, Stellar Blade, in case you are unaware, is a PS5 exclusive, which seems like a really goddamn bad idea considering the focus of the game, where the primary reason why it's caused such an uproar on the gaming scene is the fact that its premier character, its player character, doesn't actually look like a gargoyle. I know. Now, there's actually a shocker, because despite the fact that we all know this to be true, we know that men like looking at butts, we do know that you are going to primarily be looking at the character's rear in a third-person action game, despite the fact that we all know that pretty attractive female character sells games, we've simply just moved away from this. This is something that has just escaped us, or more correctly, it is something that has been eaten up by the virus within gaming. And so, what was once considered to be self-evident, sex sells, has become a bit of a sin in the modern age. And so, when somebody comes along and says something like, honestly, when I play a game, I would like to see someone who is better looking than myself, the gaming journalists gasp. They cross themselves, what is this? Whilst the rest of us are finally looking at something that, at least in theory, caters towards our preferences. Now, the only problem is, of course, again, they put it on the PS5. See, okay, here's the thing. I very much so do believe that when gaming really starts shaking off the lethargy of the last 10, 20 odd years, right? And they start looking at what's actually happened to it and what's actually selling, one of the big games companies is probably going to realize, if I make a deliberately offensive game, one that is deliberately offensive to progressivism, if I make one that just embraces the base nature to its fullest extent. I mean, we're talking one step away from giant parade float God Emperor Donald Trump levels here, right? And they do it with budget and marketing behind it. That's the important part, the marketing. It is probably going to be the biggest hit since Grand Theft fucking Auto. Hell, you remember the Boys, right? The television show. They introduce an actual legitimate Nazi character, straight up Nazi, like actual from the 30s Nazi character, full-on white supremacist. Never says anything truly racist in the entire thing. Merely uses, innuendo and insinuates like, oh, your people, etc. Pussyfooting like mad. If they had dropped a trailer, which is, the usual action shot, at the end you just zoom up on her face and she dumps the N-bomb like you were Hiroshima, it would be the single greatest marketing campaign in human history. It would have been everywhere. The show would probably have higher viewing numbers than Oprah combined across all of its episodes, alright? People are desperate for a bit of shock and awe marketing. And this, something as milk toasters, I think women's asses are kind of hot, causes stirts. And again, the choice of the PlayStation 5, though, okay. The only reason why I think this might still not work out, and why I'm actually worried, because this could be like a first obvious open step in games development. Hey, we got a sexy female character, we're going to focus on it, we're not going to be apologetic about it, we're just going to do it, and then it flops, could have disastrous consequences for the revitalization of gaming. And the only reason I expect it even might have the slightest hint of chance of flopping is because it's on PlayStation 5, which Sony has been trying to neuter for the last half-decade or so. Around the Me Too era, Sony got very worried about its, what was it they called it, their sexualization of female characters, something in this whole air. See, because when they say sexual content, they don't actually mean, porn games. They mean Dead or Alive. They mean breast jiggle. They mean butts that aren't made out of rocks, etc. Things like this. They mean any character that isn't actually a gargoyle. And they've spent the last, 4 or 5 years to actually crush any and all such content on the PlayStation 5. To the point where, if you're actually somebody who would like this, and would then in turn be interested in this, well, how likely are you to own a PlayStation 5? This is kind of the problem, isn't it? Now, I'm sure the PlayStation 5 is still obviously a large platform. I'm sure a lot of people who are incidentally interested in this, in other words, possess a penis, might still be interested, but my God, why are you not putting this on PC? God help me. Like, for something like this, you are... Okay. The entire nonsense about aiming for the wider market, right? Which never works. The mythical wider market. Because all you really do is you're dumbing down your product to the point where you're lowering the standards to entry. That's what you're doing. And so you are fooling yourself into the believing that you're appealing to a wider market group, when all you're doing is, well, just raising the bar. You're dumbing things down. You're appealing to the lowest common denominator. That is not a wider market, it is a lower market. And hey, yeah, it does increase sales, I'm not going to argue against it, but it is also going to make you very vulnerable to competition. When somebody sweeps in and says, hey, you know what, we can do this thing, but better, you lose your core. The only reason Total War still has it is because for some odd reason, nobody decided to make a Total War game. Anyways, we're wandering off topic here. This is actually appeal to the wider market. You know what? You want to know what the definition of the broadest possible market on Earth is? Straight fucking men who likes women's asses. Literally. This is probably the widest market on Earth. Except, wait, are we outnumbered by the women now? In which case, it's probably the second widest market. But you get my drift, okay? An actually hot female character. Hell, an even wider market, not only straight men, but lesbian women as well. And a fair few other women too who are just like, yeah, I like pretty characters. This is your best shot. This is why sex sells used to be such absolute undisputable canon. Because it's true. And placing this on a PS5, of all things, as an exclusive, boggles the fucking mind. But hey, I'm presuming that maybe it was due to some sort of development deal, like they got a kickback for advance money, for example, or finances, or promised better rates, or whatever, some sort of negotiatory nonsense, and eventually they'll move it over to other platforms. It would be beyond idiotic not to. As hell, I'm in the position now where even if I have absolutely no interest in third-person action games, which frankly I really actually kind of don't, I would buy it simply just to go, yes, I like butts too. Voting with your wallet, 2024. But yeah, Stellar Blade embraces the most basic and obvious element of human nature, and despite that, is actually quite revolutionary and unorthodox in our current year. This is where the real revolution lies, gentlemen. It isn't in socialism. It isn't in gender communism that has brought us a generation of gargoyles. It is in ass good. And I, for one, am more than happy to embrace this revolution. I just hope the PlayStation 5 doesn't kill it off before it's allowed to begin. Until next time, I've been Arch. Thank you very much for watching, and I do hope to see you all again soon. Have a good day.